going to go through some objections on this. Okay? So I'm going to start hitting you with objections, right? And then you're going to start overcoming them. And then after about 5 or 10 minutes, we'll flip. Okay. All right. So we'll do this as a regular role play, basically, right? So imagine you're in the pitch, right? And we're going through it, and these objections start to come up. Okay. Now, for argument's sake, for this, you can kind of control the backstory, right? So if it's aesthetics and you can move it around on the roof, whatever it is, right? You can use those scenarios since there is no actual scenario. Make sense?
Yep, perfect.
All right, so the last company that I talked to, they seemed really kind of shaky, and what happens if you guys go out of business, right? So you're trying to give me a 25-year loan. What happens if you're not around in a year or 2 or 5 or 10, right? And there's an issue with the system.
Okay, great question. I'd like to first answer that with the equipment that we're giving you. There's a manufacturer warranty that's 25 years on both the solar panels and the end-phase inverters, which is great. So regardless of whether we're in business or not, you will still have that manufacturer warranty. We've been established since 2008, and we've done close to 7,000 installations. And we're a super fast growing company, and we've actually been recognized for that. So,
well, that's what I'm worried about, right? I mean, the boom and bust, right, of a lot of companies that are growing quick and like a hot industry. And I know this. You tell me there's all these federal incentives. If like all the incentives go away and you go away with it, that's more or less what I'm kind of concerned about here.
Well, we're not a fly-by-night kind of operation. Granted, there are companies that are out there. The solar companies are popping up everywhere these days because it's such a hot market right now. We're in it for the long haul. We're in it for our customers. And as far as I know, we're going to be here in the future. I mean, there's no reason to think that we would not be here to take care of all our customers. Our customers are our business. A lot of our business comes from referrals. So we want happy customers. We want to keep them, and we want to have the customers in the future.
Okay, got it. All right. So let's reverse that. All right. So you asked me the question now.
So Matt, I've talked to a couple solar companies out there. The first one was kind of shaky. The second one was all right. You guys seem good. I'm just afraid of the future. The economy looks pretty crappy right now. I'm just afraid, what if something happens? What if you go out of business? What can you do for me? Like, if you're not here, what kind of warranty am I going to have? So I'm a little worried about that.
Without a doubt. And that's definitely a valid concern, right? So there's 2 sets of warranties that cover you on this, right? There's warranties that are provided through us, the installer, right? And then there's warranties that are provided through the manufacturer, right?
Right.
So the warranties that we provide are backed by Infinity. Now, keep in mind, we've been doing this since 2008. The company has been growing steadily and responsibly, right, in that time, right? And the warranties that Infinity carries, right, are 2 things. Leak-proof penetrations, which we're guaranteeing any penetrations on your roof be airtight and leak-free for 25 years. And the production guarantee, the output of the system, we're guaranteeing for 25 years. So that's what Infinity backs. Now, since Infinity is a privately held company, if we go out, right, or we go away, right, the warranties that are associated with our company Infinity will go away as well. Okay. Now, the other side of that is the manufacturer warranty. So the manufacturer warranty and the products that we're offering, for example, we use REC for this, right? So the manufacturer's warranty on the panels, they're covering 3 things, right? They're covering the product, they're covering the power, right? And they're covering the labor if there's an issue with the product or the power, right? So if there's an issue with the product or the power, any type of defects, right, they're covering that under the manufacturer's warranty. And then the company actually will find someone to pay and come out and replace that defective product and cover all the labor involved with that as well.
Okay.
Now, Enphase, the brain of the system, the microinverters, right, are the only other real component in this whole system, right? And that has the same warranty, right? Product, power, and labor covered for 25 years. So really, no matter how you shape it, you're covered, right? These are publicly held companies. Any publicly held company, they need to put a certain amount of money of their profits aside every single quarter, right, for honoring warranties in case they're not around.
Okay.
Right? All right. Does that answer your question? Now, with that being said, Infinity has no plans on going anywhere, right, anytime soon, right? We think that solar is going to be a big growth market for a long time coming. And since we've already been doing it for, 14 years, 16 years now, 15 years, we feel like we're pretty well situated to continue to be a leader in the markets.
Sounds good. It's a much better answer.
Yeah, they will be, and for the first handful, right? So, well, that's why we do this, right? So we'll do it, you do it, right? So we're going to kind of go bounce back and forth on this, right? But important to remember, there's two sets of warranties that back all this. There's the Infinity warranties that are associated with Infinity, and if Infinity goes away, those warranties go away as a privately held company, right? Yep. But the other side of it is the manufacturer warranty. We want to make the manufacturer warranty and our warranty sound the same, okay? Right. Now, there is a big difference between that. Infinity is looking at the production, the output of the system. A power warranty is based off of the degradation of the system. Right. Now, this is very technical. I don't want to get too far into it, but I do want you to be prepared if you speak to an engineer or something along the lines of that. Right. The difference between the two is a production guarantee is based on the output of the system. How many kilowatt hours did it produce per year? Mm-hmm. A power warranty is based on how rapidly the system will degrade over a span of time, typically 25 years of the power warranties from manufacturers. So they're saying that the system will degrade more rapidly, right, than 0.25% per year, or have a power rating lower than, for example, REC is 92% of year one output on year 25. Okay. You follow? Yep. All right, so that's how that works. So it's a little harder to factor, right? If you're 10 years into a 25-year warranty on a power warranty, right? And this is also important. This is also important if you're dealing with a competitor and like, oh, power warranty and production warranty are the same thing. No, they're not. Right. So we have a production warranty. We're guaranteeing the output, right? They're guaranteeing how rapidly the system will degrade over a 25-year span. How do you prove that? Yeah, exactly. You follow? Yeah. Right? I would have a hard time pulling those numbers apart. And this is what I do for a living, right? So I can only imagine the typical consumer trying to prove to a manufacturer, right, that their system is degrading at a more rapid level. Now, I don't want to intertwine the two. You would never say that to someone that had this objection. However, if you're in a competitive situation, right, and the other company is saying, well, they have a production guarantee too. They probably don't. They probably have a power warranty. Right. You follow? So you want to be able to dissect those two things, right? Hold on. Is it a production or a power warranty? Because they're completely different. This is how the production works. This is how the power works. And as you can see, the production is a lot easier to monitor since you have a monitoring system. Right. Makes sense? Yep. All right, cool. Let's go to another one. So I'm really concerned about damage to my home and my property. I got a roof about 6 months ago. The roof is brand new. The roof is fine. It works well, but the guys they did a number on my property, right? They were throwing a lot of, material off of the roof. I've been picking shingles out of trees and bushes, and they crushed, my wife's roses that were in the garden bed over there. It was a messy job and a messy overall process. So I'm concerned about that now, to have people back up on my roof, back working up there, and the potential for damage and whatnot around the property.
So both things that you mentioned are really valid concerns. You have a concern about damage to your brand new roof, and you have a concern about the installation process and the potential mess that could be made. At Infinity, that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. As I mentioned during the presentation, one of the owners of the company, he has a roofing background. So everyone that works on your roof is trained under him. We have, like I had mentioned, we have the 25-year penetration warranty, because any solar system you get is going to be attached to your roof. So that's a really valid concern, that there might be damage to your roof. With us, you don't have to worry about that, because we have roofing experts that will be installing your system. As far as the installation in a bigger scope, that too is something that we really take pride in. Also, during my presentation, I mentioned that the other co-owner, Achilles, is a master electrician. Things are done differently at Infinity. We are able to hide the electrical, the conduit, much better.
Keep in mind, two separate concerns here, right? We're going a little bit down a rabbit hole here, right? Two main concerns are what?
Damage to the roof and damage to the property.
Damage to the roof and damage to the property, right? So damage to the roof means, in a nutshell, right, I'm concerned that you're going to punch holes in my roof and my roof is going to leak, and I just dropped $13,000 on a new roof, right? So we want to cover this in a couple of different ways, right? One, right, so go ahead, why don't you flip that question back on me?
So Matt, I just had a roof installed like about 6 months ago, and I'm kind of concerned that, people doing surveys, site surveys, walking around my roof and then installing solar panels on my brand new roof. I'm a bit concerned about damage to the roof, and the roofing company that I hired, I mean, they had shingles in the bushes. They ran over my wife's rose bushes. There was like big imprints on the lawn. How do you remedy that, or is that something that I shouldn't expect?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That's an unfortunate situation, and a lot of people have experiences like that with contractors in the area that may or may not have been best suited to do the work. So the way that we operate here, as we mentioned before, we are a full-scale roofing company, right? So any penetrations that we make in the roof, we guarantee them to be airtight and leak-free for 25 years, since we're a GAF Master Elite installer. Also, since we're a GAF Master Elite installer, it's not going to void the warranty that your roofing company also provided to you. Okay, so the roofing warranty originally will still be intact, right? We'll have an additional warranty on any penetrations that we make into the roof, right? Covering all of that together for 25 years. So no need to worry about that. Obviously it makes a lot more sense to get a new roof and put solar on immediately rather than put solar on a really old roof, right? Where then you're going to have a chance of it potentially leaking because it's really old, right? So that's typically the way that things move. So roof first, then solar. So you're already 10 steps ahead of most people because you've already taken the initiative to do the roof.
Right.
Now, on the damage to the property and the cleanup, that's terrible. And since we do own a roofing company, I do understand the steps that need to be taken to clean it up. You're literally ripping 2 to 3 tons of debris off of a roof, right? That have to come down, right? So with us, the way that we do that, just so you know, is we tarp the whole property, tarp the trees, set everything up, right? So we understand what it takes to do the right cleanup on the roofing and on the solar side. Now, the good thing is we're not ripping 2 or 3 tons of debris off your roof, right? We're just putting up some panels, right? So there shouldn't be any mess onto the property. All the guys are super respectful. You'll have a foreman there that before anything starts, he's going to come, he's going to speak to you for a good 5 or 10 minutes. He's going to walk you through the entire project before anything even happens.
Oh, great.
So any concerns that you have on the day of install about cleanup or mess or anything, you're going to have a point man, right, to be dealing directly with. And if you ever feel like there's something that they're leaving a little bit of a mess, you'll know exactly who to go to. And he's going to be checking in with you periodically throughout the day to make sure that everything is to your liking.
Okay.
So we're taking the initiative on that to make sure that, those situations never happen with Infinity, which is why so much of our business is referral based. Probably wouldn't be really quick to pull the trigger, right, to refer that other company based off the way they left your property. Am I right?
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I figured. All right. So that's the way that I would weave that.
Okay.
But focus on the two, right? There's going to be times where like the electrical background is really beneficial, but that particular one wasn't one, right? We want to comfort them on 2 things, right? Your new roof is not going to get damaged. The warranties are still going to be intact, right? You're going to have additional layers of warranties on top of that. You can also even add in that, sun, the biggest deteriorator of a roof is sun, always, right? Now, when you put a solar system on a roof, you're putting it in the most sunny spot. So what is that doing? It's helping to preserve the roof. Right. For a longer duration of time.
Yep.
All right. Now, rolling off of that question, right? So in my town, I had a huge hailstorm about a month or 2 ago. And I swear they were hail, like baseball size hail coming down, hitting the deck, hitting the grill. The hail was so heavy that it dinged up my entire grill in the backyard. So I assumed something like that would damage a solar panel, right?
Right. Well, no, the solar panels that we install are really high grade, and they have to go through a process to get to that 25-year warranty. And part of that process, I believe, is called a halt training. What they do is they put these solar panels in a chamber and they speed up 25 years of existence. They put it through extreme heat, extreme cold, hail, snow, everything. To get that 25-year warranty for you. So in my time at Infinity, I haven't seen any hail damage. I imagine someplace in the world, solar panels have been damaged, but the panel system that I recommended to you, the RECs, they go through super training. I've seen videos where the actual glass panel, they can bow that all the way down. So it's a super stout system. And I don't think that should be one of your concerns. I don't think it has to be one of your concerns because we stand by those panels.
That was excellent. All the right information. You just didn't say it confidently enough, right? And I know it was the first time you said it, right? But you had all the ammunition for that. You had it right there, right?
Okay.
You nailed it, right? So our panels, our systems, so it's the confidence is 99% of it, right? So
Right.
the hail damage is nothing for that, right? Our systems go through some of the most vigorous testing available on the planet. So we actually put them through, not the manufacturer, right? You can just, it's all, we're testing this. We're making sure that it's good, right? Because you don't want to deflect a lot of that stuff.
Right.
We actually make sure that they're tested. They go through a process called HALT, highly accelerated lifetime testing. And we put it in a chamber and feed it for 25 years with some of the most severe weather conditions on the planet. Right. And then we make sure that it's still producing exactly the way it's supposed to be producing, which is how we know that it's going to stand the test of time. We're well aware that these panels are going on your roof, right? It rains, snow, hail, right? It's sun, all this, right? So they're prepared to be able to take the abuse that is going to come with being on a roof for that time. So there's no need to worry about it. This is some of the most vigorous testing in the industry through REC's fault program. Any questions about that?
I know you talked previously about a production warranty and a manufacturer warranty. Just say I am the one person in a million that has damaged panels. Is that covered under the warranty?
No, it's covered under your homeowner's insurance.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh yeah, that's manufacturer defects. Gotcha.
Correct. Product is manufacturer defect, right? Or power degradation, right? This would be act of God.
Okay.
Right? So that's covered under your homeowner's insurance, just like regular hail damage was. If you put on a new roof, right, and you get baseball size hail smashing your roof, that's a warranty claim through your homeowner's insurance to be able to replace the roof. It happens a lot.
Right. Or your car. I mean,
or your car.
That's where you really see it.
Exactly. So yeah, your homeowner's insurance would pick up on claims like that. Now, we don't want to get too far down that hole. We don't want to bring that up unless it's absolutely necessary.
Right.
Because then what happens is they go into a massive holding pattern. Oh, well, maybe I should call my homeowner's insurance and see how much additional money it is to insure. A day passes, a week passes, 2 weeks passes. Did you call them? Did you call them? No, I haven't called them yet. I'm going to get around to it. A month passes, right? You call them. Did you call them yet? No, we're just going to wait until the spring. We're just going to wait until next year, right? You got to strike while the iron is hot, right? So this goes back to what I was talking about before. There's certain situations and subjects that are very, very, very sticky, right? And homeowners is one, right? I don't ever recommend, right, that people should talk to their homeowners insurance, their lawyers, their accountants, their friends, their family, anyone, right? You know why? Because I don't know what they're going to say. I can't control that conversation. Right? If their accountant, right, went on Facebook 3 years ago and saw some post from some guy on the other side of the country that got solar and hated it, guess what he's going to say to my customer now? Oh, no, that solar shit, it doesn't work. Right? Trust me, I know. I saw a very reliable source, and they said it didn't work at all, right? Which could be completely based off BS, right? So whenever possible, you don't want to add outside sources, right? You want to be the source of knowledge.
Okay.
Right. So just keep that in mind, right? Because in sales, a lot of people will say, oh, check with this guy, check with that guy, do this, talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant. And you never know. You're adding in a wild card to every presentation, right? Do the homework on your own. Don't give tax advice, but absolutely don't recommend that they speak to their accountant.
Right.
Okay.
Because they don't know anything about solar.
They don't know anything. You know how many accountants I've had to get on the phone with and coach them through how to file for the tax credits?
Really?
It's a joke, right? These guys don't even know how to do their own job, let alone give advice on if the homeowner should go solar or not.
And on that one slide, you actually have the form.
That's it. There's only two. Right? There's a Fed form and a state form. And you would think after, whatever it is, 70,000 people have went solar in the state of New York, you would have think that these guys would be comfortable with that form.
You would think.
But anyways, we don't want to involve outside sources whenever possible, right? And the homeowner's insurance is one of those sticky pieces there, right? If you start going down that path, they're going to want to talk to them, see what it's going to do to the premium, see what the deductible is, yada, yada, yada.
Yep, exactly.
All right, cool. So let's move on. Let's go to, so, I spoke to a couple other people, and your product is actually your system is a lot more expensive. Your system is 56,000, and the other quote that I got was actually for 51,000. Why are you so much more expensive, and can you meet the price that they offered?
Well, we have to back that up a little bit because in this discussion we want to compare apples to apples. So I would need to know what kind of system that they're proposing, because there's a lot of ways for them to cut costs and save money. Primarily, the size of their system is a big thing. It's like, I propose 29 panels to provide you with 10,000 kilowatts of power. I would like to know if the other estimate is doing the same exact thing. Are they using the same amount of panels, and are they providing you with the same amount of power for that price? Additionally, there are different components in the system. We use the top of the line solar panels. We also use the best microinverters.
Mhm.
Many companies, they choose to go a cheap route on the microinverters. They use these string inverters that are much cheaper, and without getting into the details, it could knock out potentially like a third of your system. It knocks out the whole string if there's shading on one panel. So
Good.
there's ways that they can cut costs. So I would be really curious, and I'd like to see their proposal, and I can walk you through that. I'd be happy to do that.
Good, good. So we definitely, that's one of the first things we want to do. We want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, right? Inexperienced salespeople will say, oh, well, let me see what I can do on the price, right? Before we go down that path, because maybe we are apples to apples, and maybe we do need to play around with the price a little bit to earn the business. But more times than not, the chances of 3 solar companies all providing quotes and providing the same equipment, the same system size, right, which is key, right? Because keep in mind, right, it's not necessarily based off of the panels, right? It's based off of the system size, right? Because if company B, right, sold 29 panels, right, and those panels were 305 watts, and we're selling 29 panels, and our panels are 405 watts, right? That's a huge difference, right? Our system technically is 25% larger, right? On a watt by watt basis, right?
Yes.
So that's the first thing we want to always check. We want to check the watts of the system, right? The system size. So that's the first thing I'm going to say to them. Absolutely. Look, I could have spun this a bunch of different ways, right? There's a variety of different systems that I could have offered to you. And most importantly, this system I feel is best sized to meet your needs, right? Now, if you have another system, I'd be happy to take a quick look at it to make sure that their system size is the same as mine, right? Because very simple, right? If I decrease the system size, guess what happens to the cost? It goes down, of course, right? So, and if I increase the system size, it goes up, right? So we might be looking at a much larger system. So that's the first thing that I definitely want to check out. Now, in addition to that, there's obviously, I mean, you know this, you're a savvy consumer, right? You're a smart guy. There's a massive difference in price between the highest quality of product available, right? And the cheapest possible stuff that's barely legal to sell in this country, right? So there's a massive discrepancy. And with that comes production, it comes warranties, right? And so on and so forth, right? So that's the next thing I'd want to look at, right? The only panel that we use, and I'm going to say this because I'd be leading with REC for someone that's concerned with these types of things. The panels that we would use in your scenario are REC. It's the world leader. I'm not going to tell you it's the cheapest product because it's not, but I'm going to tell you it's the best because it is, right? And if I was going to put this on my house, that's the panel that I would want, right? It's the best looking, the highest performing, the best warranties, the lowest defect rate, the highest power warranty through a 25-year span. It's a phenomenal product, right? So that's number one that I would want to make sure. So we can go through the entire equipment. Do you have the quote with you by any chance? Would you be able to pull that up?
I don't have that. I have it on the other computer.
Just so you know, 9 times out of 10, when you say that, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. I don't know, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Right. So, and when they do populate it, right? So the way that you want to get this on the hook, right, is so at the end of the day, after all this, I can absolutely decrease the price, right? Without a doubt. I'd be more than happy to do that. I can do that one of 3 ways, right? I can decrease the service that we provide on that, right? If we provide a lower level of service, I can decrease the price. I can provide a significantly lower end product, and I could probably get even below that 50, right? But with that is going to come with decreased warranties, right? Decreased power warranties, and so on and so forth, right? So there's ways for me to drop the price without a doubt, but it's really it's a decision that you need to make, right? Do you want to sacrifice, price for product, right? If you are, right, that's no problem, and I can reconfigure the system to fit your needs a little bit better here. Would you like me to do that? The answer is no, 10 times out of 10. Always, right? It's never I want to shitty your product. I used to say this to people all the time, right? The price is way too high. The price is way too high. there was a panel manufacturer that that's not around anymore, right? And we got a variety of their different panels, right? We had like 20 of them or whatever in the warehouse. And when we were moving, we uncovered the panels and we found 20 panels. Like, oh shit, look at this, right? There's 20 panels here, right? So when we were moving, I offered those panels out for so many years, right? And I want a lower price, I want a lower price, I want a lower price, I want a lower price. Okay, so I have a product in my garage. They're solar panels, they work fine, right? The manufacturer is not around anymore. Supposedly they're still honoring warranty claims, right? It's a 295 watt panel, and I can do it for half the price of this system if you'd like that. Right. However, I do want to just put a basic disclaimer here, right? We will install the system and install the system only. You won't be able to call us. We will not be able to service the system. We won't be able to do anything from that point moving forward, right? It will strictly be the panels for the money, a one-time transaction, one-time purchase, right? With the price that I'm giving you, it won't give you access to our customer service teams. It won't give you access to any type of follow-up. And the warranty is kind of murky with that, to say the best, right? Would you like me to price that out for you? No one ever that I said that to was, yeah, sure, I'll take those. Right. So something to kind of keep in your back pocket. But yes, when you're breaking down the competition, those are the main things that we're looking for. First, we're looking for product. Am I comparing an apples to apples quote? Right. Is the system size the same? Right. Yes. Are the micros the same? Yes. Is the production the same? Is their system going to produce what I'm going through? So I'm looking for the system size watts. I'm looking for the micros, right? I'm looking for the product that they're offering. And then I'm looking for the manufacturer's warranty. Then I'm looking for the installer warranty. Okay. No one can beat Infinity on those 5. Okay. No one, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? If they might have 3 of the 5, maybe if they're a really good outfit, they have 4 of the 5, right? But no one has 5 of the 5. Do you have people that show you the quote that you walk them through? Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people they're full of shit, right? And you know, you do back the numbers out where it's, well, somebody told me, you know, that they could do it for this price. Like, bro, that's 206 a watt. Right? No one's selling solar for 206 a watt. Like, if we get beat by price, we get beat by 5 cents, 10 cents, maybe a watt, right? No one's coming in at $1 a watt less than what we are, right? It's just it's not a thing, right? So exactly. And they have to save where they can save, and we know where they're going to cut their costs. Exactly. We know where they're going to cut their costs. So, all right, cool. So let's do another one. You know, I'm concerned about in this, right? All this sounds really good. I mean, the savings sound wonderful, right? It looks like we would be saving 30, 40, 50 bucks a month, right? Now, one of the biggest concerns for me is, you know, my youngest kid right now is 10, right? He'll be graduating high school, and he's already got all plans where he wants to go and all this craziness, right? So once the kids move out, because I have another 2 kids in high school now, once the 3 of them move out, you know, we're probably going to downsize, right? Maybe Florida, South Carolina, or wherever. So if I'm out of the house in 5 years and it's a 25-year loan, you know, what happens at that point? That is a great question, and I have a great answer. So you have 2 options in this scenario. So say you list your house for $400,000 and you owe $20,000 on your panels. You can list the house for $420,000 and you could close out your loan and your responsibility and sell your house. As a consumer buying a house, if I was going to look at a house and say that I have free electric for the next 20 years, you know, from your 25-year warranty, I would jump on that house. The other option there is the new buyer, assuming that they really like the cost savings, and I'm sure you're going to back that up and say, hey, I'm paying like a standard price for electricity. It's awesome. We can pre-qualify that new home buyer to take over your loan. Okay. And then they can continue making those standardized payments for the next 20 years on that loan. Got it. Okay. Got it. What if they don't want it? Can you just take it off? We could, but I've never heard of somebody that didn't want either reduced power costs, a standardized payment plan for 20 years, or in my first scenario, they're not paying for electric at all. Do you know anybody that would not want to pay for electric for the next 20 years? No, but I probably could think of a couple people that don't want solar panels on their roof.
Okay. Well, I would be curious to see somebody like that, and their reasoning behind that. Usually, it would have to be just they just don't like the look of. Don't want to say that.
Well, yeah. So let's go back on this, right? So the strongest thing here is not what you think, right?
Right.
Because we have the data,
Right.
right? So we want to reflect to that, right? I'm not saying that, right? The U.S. Department of Energy is saying that.
Right.
Zillow is saying this. CNN says this. CNBC, so on and so forth, right? So that sheet that I sent you that's in the Trenual that has the resale value, right?
Yep.
We want to just deflect to that, right?
Okay.
So that's a great question, Mr. Customer, right? Now, what the researchers found, right, because there's been massive, massive studies on houses with solar and how they sell. And pretty much what they found across the board is houses with solar are selling for about 5% more money overall than same houses without solar, and for an average about 15% faster. Okay. Now, the information that these studies, and I could send you over the document or pull it up now, right? It was Zillow who did a huge study on this. I mean, and who would know better than Zillow, right?
Right.
Just like the number one information about, houses that are sold, price that they were sold at, so on and so forth. The U.S. Department of Energy, they did a massive, massive study on this. They came up with pretty much the same information. It's all 4%, 5%, 6%, or
Right.
12, 14, 16. It's all in that range on
Right.
all the sides. But really, at the end of the day, what it comes down to are the people that are moving into houses, right, are on the younger side, right? They're in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, and they were brought up with the idea that renewable energy is the way to go, right? Coal, nuclear is out, renewable energy is in. It's already on their list of priorities to handle once they move into the home.
Right.
So when they're shopping around and they see a house with solar, guess what? That's just one less thing they need to do. And the studies and the facts and the metrics show that they're willing to pay more for that.
Right.
Right. Same thing for like you might be looking at it. The nicest thing about, your next place is, wow, look at this. They've already gutted their kitchen. It's already done. Beautiful. Right. One less thing I need to do. Okay. The whole people that are buying homes now, they're viewing solar the same way.
Right.
Right. And because of that, they're willing to pay more. Right. Okay. So they're happy to gobble that up. Now, you can throw this out too. When I sold, this is kind of not off the topic, but you would have to weave it in a different way.
Right.
My first house that I bought, I put solar on it, right? When I sold the house, right? The house was a nice house, 2,200 square feet, mostly nicely done. My wife does a beautiful job keeping everything nicely decorated and all that, right? Kitchen was newer, right? A lot of the appliances were newer, right? But I had a solar system on that. And the only thing that these buyers cared about was the solar system.
Right.
You got a solar system up here. How does it work? How much power does it generate? How much is your electric bills? I'm thinking about buying a Tesla next year. Will that be able to cover the power? This is great. That was all they cared about. It sold the house, right? Because now you're talking about someone that is either driving an EV already and paying $700 a month for electric, right? Or thinking about getting one, but also calculating the cost of what their electric bill is going to happen, right? Okay. So that's a huge thing for these, these people, and especially as things move into that EV market, right? They see solar, they get very excited, they have a lot of questions, and a lot of the other stuff on the home kind of fades behind, right? Because they get hyped up about this. All right.
Have you ever had questions or people expressing concerns like, okay, you're going to give me a 10 kilowatt system right now. What if in the future we have 2 Teslas? Can I upgrade at that point?
Of course, you can always scale to the systems without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always add on to the systems as long as there's roof space.
Okay.
Right? So yes.
Do you get that question, or that's just a?
Yeah, all the time, right? So because we're building the systems based off of your usage. The more popular it would be for you, right? So let's say you install the system. You're like, well, this is where I'm at now, but we might be getting an electric car in a year or 2. We might be putting in an in-ground pool. We might be putting in a jacuzzi. We might be transitioning and switching some things over from gas to electric, so on and so forth. People's electric consumption change, right? So with that, we can scale the systems as need, right? So if right now you need 20 panels and you go out and buy a Tesla, you're probably gonna need another 5, 6, 7. You buy 2 Teslas, you probably need another 12 or 13.
Okay. Do you get into any of those things when they're like it's contract time, when you're actually talking about like the future? Like, do you plan on putting a pool in? Do you plan on?
That's also like one of those rabbit hole type of segments that we were talking about before.
Okay.
You want to get them to, the idea is to build the ideal system for that homeowner. Right. But if you start getting too big picture about what they're going to need, then it delays the entire process. And these people, they can't get out of their own way, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we do buy a Tesla, or what if we do buy an EV in 5 years? Well, it's 5 years from now,
Right.
right?
And like you said, you're going to design it for their needs right now, and you can
Correct.
upgrade in the future if that question comes up.
Correct. Now,
Okay.
if they're talking about we're going to buy an EV in 3 months, I can build in for that electric.
Okay.
Right. Now, an average EV that drives 15,000 miles per year, I'll add 5,000 kilowatt hours worth of electricity to the system. Okay. That usually covers it. That's the average metric.
Okay.
All right. So if you built a system that's producing 10 and they're buying an EV, now they're going to need 15,000 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
All right. Or 14, right? Depending on what it is. All right. All right. Any questions about any of that?
Nope, that was good.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I think that's a good start for today. We'll go ahead and stop the recording.